Emotional control and awareness are crucial aspects of living a balanced and fulfilled life. At its core, emotional awareness means recognizing and understanding your feelings, while emotional control refers to how you manage and respond to those feelings. We all experience a range of emotions throughout the day: joy, sadness, anger, fear, and everything in between. These emotions, however, can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially when they are left unchecked or mismanaged. This is where the importance of emotional awareness comes into play. When we develop the abilities to notice and understand our emotional patterns, we gain a sense of control over our reactions. Emotional awareness allows us to pause, reflect, and choose how to respond instead of reacting impulsively or automatically. By understanding our emotions, we can begin to navigate life with greater emotional regulation, reducing the impact of stress and improving our relationships with others. Embarking on a journey of emotional regulation is not about suppressing or ignoring emotions, but rather understanding their root causes and learning how to respond thoughtfully. This journey towards emotional awareness and control can lead to improved well-being, healthier interactions with others, and a more peaceful mind. It's about learning to recognize when we are emotionally triggered and taking conscious steps to stay grounded. With this awareness, we can begin to approach challenges with a clearer mindset and greater emotional resilience. Everyone has emotional reactions that arise when they face stress, irritation, or conflict. These reactions can range from lashing out in anger, withdrawing into silence, or becoming overwhelmed with anxiety. For example, when a person feels criticized, they might lash out defensively, arguing or raising their voice. Others might withdraw entirely, avoiding confrontation and shutting down emotionally. There are also those who might feel an immediate sense of anxiety, worrying about the situation or what others think of them. These reactions are often automatic, something that happens without much thought. However, they are deeply tied to our emotional patterns, repeated behaviors we develop over time in response to certain triggers. It's important to recognize these patterns, as they can significantly influence our actions, and understanding them can lead to more effective emotional regulation. The key to breaking free from these automatic responses is reflection. By taking time to think about our emotional reactions in specific situations, we can begin to identify the triggers and the underlying emotions. Are we feeling attacked, insecure, or unheard? Once we know what is driving our emotions, we can better understand how to manage them. Identifying emotional patterns is the first step toward changing how we respond. It's a powerful tool that helps us break out of negative cycles and begin to shape healthier emotional responses. Take a moment to reflect on your personal emotional responses. How do you typically react when faced with stress or conflict? Identifying these reactions can help you begin your journey of emotional awareness and control. One of the most powerful tools in emotional regulation is the Stoic pause. This concept, drawn from Stoic philosophy, suggests taking a brief moment of stillness before reacting emotionally. When a strong emotion arises, whether it's anger, frustration, or fear, the Stoic pause encourages us to take a deep breath and create space between the emotion and our response. In that moment of pause, we step out of the automatic reaction cycle. Rather than immediately lashing out, withdrawing, or becoming anxious, we gain the opportunity to observe our feelings and decide how we want to respond. This pause gives us the power to choose a response that aligns with our values, rather than being driven by instinctual emotions. The Stoic pause is about taking control of our emotional lives. When we create this space, we allow ourselves to respond with intention. This doesn't mean denying or suppressing emotions. It means acknowledging them and then making a conscious decision about how to handle them. By doing so, we can approach situations with more clarity, better judgment, and less emotional reactivity. During moments of conflict, emotional distance and awareness become even more powerful. Instead of engaging in a heated exchange or acting on impulse, we can use the Stoic pause to gain perspective. This helps us avoid saying things we may regret or escalating conflicts unnecessarily. It's a way of taking control over our emotional life and ensuring that we respond in a manner that is thoughtful and grounded. The Stoic pause allows us to live in alignment with our inner values, creating emotional stability even in the midst of challenges. When emotions arise, it's important to take a moment and ask yourself, what is really going on here? This question helps you move beyond the immediate emotional reaction and dig deeper into the underlying causes of your feelings. It can be easy to react impulsively when we're upset, but by pausing and reflecting, we can gain insight into what's truly at play. Often, our emotional reactions are not solely about the present moment. They are influenced by past experiences, assumptions, and beliefs that have accumulated over time. One key aspect of reflection is questioning whether your emotional reaction is based on facts or coloured by past experiences. For example, if you feel anger when someone cuts in front of you in line, ask yourself, is this situation as dire as it feels? Or is this feeling connected to past experiences of feeling overlooked or disrespected? By analysing our emotional reactions in this way, we can see if we're overreacting or misinterpreting the situation through the lens of past pain or fear. This kind of self-inquiry helps you understand the root causes of your emotional responses. It may reveal that your reaction is not necessarily about the present situation, but about something deeper that needs healing or recognition. By recognizing these emotional triggers, you can make conscious decisions about how to respond, rather than letting old patterns dictate your actions. Reflection on your triggers fosters emotional intelligence, allowing you to approach situations with greater understanding, calm, and clarity. Shifting your perspective during emotionally charged situations is another powerful tool in emotional regulation. The way we interpret events greatly influences how we react to them. In moments of heightened emotion, it's easy to default to a narrow view of things, often seeing them as either a personal attack or a crisis. But by consciously changing how we view the event, we can transform our emotional response. One way to do this is by rethinking the narrative of an event. For example, let's say a friend cancels plans at the last minute. Initially, you might feel hurt or disappointed, interpreting their cancellation as a sign that they don't care about you. However, if you shift your perspective, you might consider that they might be dealing with their own personal challenges, or perhaps they're feeling overwhelmed and need space. By changing the lens through which you view the event, you free yourself from automatic negative assumptions and respond with greater understanding. This shift in perspective can lead to more balanced and mindful reactions. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, you might feel empathy or understanding. It's about broadening your view to include possibilities other than the one that triggers an emotional response. When we take the time to reframe our interpretation of an event, we often find that our emotional reaction is not as strong or as destructive as we initially thought. The ability to shift perspectives also applies to more significant emotional events, such as conflicts or disappointments. By challenging the first narrative we create in our minds, we can open up to a more compassionate and rational response, leading to better outcomes for both ourselves and those around us. When we face emotional situations, one of the most powerful ways to respond is by reflecting on our core values. Our values are the compass that guides us, helping us decide how we want to show up in the world and in our relationships. When emotions run high, it's easy to forget these guiding principles and react impulsively, which often leads to regret or misunderstanding. By consciously aligning our responses with our values, we can act in ways that feel true to who we are. For example, if you value kindness and understanding, you might choose to respond calmly to someone who is upset, rather than reacting defensively. Reflecting on your values allows you to slow down and respond thoughtfully, rather than reacting in a way that might escalate the situation or cause harm. It's about making sure that your response aligns with your higher intentions, rather than being driven by momentary emotions. This approach connects deeply with Stoic principles of virtue and self-control. The Stoics believe that true virtue comes from acting in accordance with reason and wisdom, rather than being swept away by fleeting emotions. They emphasize the importance of self-control, recognizing that our ability to govern our responses is essential for living a virtuous and fulfilled life. By focusing on your values, you can respond with calmness, clarity, and integrity, even in emotionally charged situations. Choosing your response based on values doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. Rather, it's about responding in a way that reflects who you want to be. Someone who acts with intention, rather than being at the mercy of unexamined emotional impulses. It's about using your values as a touchstone to guide your decisions and actions, ensuring that you're always in alignment with your best self. Daily reflection plays a crucial role in developing emotional intelligence. It allows you to step back and examine your emotional reactions, helping you better understand yourself. Through reflection, you gain insight into the triggers, patterns, and beliefs that influence your emotional responses. The more consistently you reflect on your emotions, the more you develop the ability to regulate them and make mindful decisions. Looking back on moments of emotional conflict can be particularly revealing. For instance, when you face a disagreement with a colleague or a loved one, reflecting on the situation afterward can help you identify any patterns in your reactions. Did you respond defensively? Did you avoid the conflict? Were there deeper fears or insecurities influencing your behavior? Reflection helps you spot these emotional patterns and provides opportunities for growth. Over time, you can learn how to respond differently, reducing impulsivity and increasing emotional awareness. Equally important is learning from your mistakes. It's natural to make emotional missteps, whether it's reacting with anger or withdrawing in fear. The key is to reflect on these moments without self-judgment. Instead of criticizing yourself, ask, what can I learn from this? This mindset fosters growth by transforming mistakes into valuable lessons. Self-compassion is a vital part of this process, allowing yourself room to grow without feeling ashamed of past emotional reactions. Embracing your imperfections allows you to continue evolving into a more emotionally intelligent person. In essence, daily reflection is not about perfection, but progress. By continuously examining your emotional experiences and learning from them, you pave the way for greater emotional growth and understanding. Just as physical strength requires consistent training, emotional resilience is built through regular practice. Emotional resilience is the ability to navigate life's challenges with calm, perspective, and adaptability. It's a muscle that grows stronger with each practice of emotional awareness and the Stoic pause. By incorporating these tools into your daily life, you strengthen your emotional resilience and develop the capacity to handle stress, adversity, and conflict more effectively. The Stoic pause, in particular, helps create space between an emotional trigger and your reaction. By consistently using this pause, you allow yourself time to process the situation and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to remain calm in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Building emotional resilience is much like building physical strength. It requires continuous effort, repetition, and patience. Just as you wouldn't expect to lift heavy weights on your first attempt, you shouldn't expect to have perfect emotional control immediately. Emotional resilience takes time to develop, and it often grows stronger in the face of adversity. The more challenges you face with emotional awareness, the more resilient you become. Resilience empowers you to handle life's challenges with greater composure. When difficult situations arise, whether it's a personal loss, a stressful work environment, or a conflict with a friend, you approach them with perspective, knowing that emotional turbulence doesn't last forever. You can weather the storm, remain centered, and find solutions from a place of calm. Emotional resilience not only helps you bounce back from hardship, but also builds your confidence in your ability to navigate the ups and downs of life with poise. Emotions such as anger, fear, and frustration can feel like an emotional storm. Intense, overwhelming, and sometimes completely out of control. Picture the powerful force of a thunderstorm with strong winds and heavy rain that can knock you off balance. In the same way, these emotions can flood your mind and body, causing you to react impulsively or become lost in the intensity of the moment. Anger might feel like a violent storm, crashing through your thoughts, while fear might feel like dark clouds surrounding your judgment, obscuring your ability to think clearly. These emotional storms can take over, leaving you feeling tossed about by feelings you don't fully understand. The challenge, then, is not to resist the storm, but to navigate it. Just as you would seek shelter from a physical storm, you can create emotional distance during moments of turmoil. This emotional shelter is the Stoic pause, taking a moment to step back, breathe, and observe your emotions before reacting. When you pause, you allow yourself the space to gain perspective, much like finding shelter from a storm where you can wait for the intensity to subside. In that moment of stillness, you regain control and prevent yourself from being swept away by the emotional surge. The key to navigating emotional storms is not to fight or suppress your emotions, but to give yourself the room to weather them with grace. The storm may pass, and when it does, you can approach the situation with clarity and a sense of calm, knowing that you've gained valuable emotional resilience by choosing not to react impulsively. By creating this emotional distance, you're better equipped to face the challenges ahead, ready to weather the next storm with strength and perspective. When emotions feel overwhelming, one of the most powerful tools you can use is stepping back mentally and observing your emotions from a place of safety. In moments of emotional turmoil, it's easy to get caught up in the rush of feelings, anger, fear, frustration, feeling as though you're being consumed by them. However, by practicing mental detachment, you can create a space between yourself and the emotions you're experiencing. The practice of stepping back means not immediately reacting to the emotions, but observing them with curiosity and non-judgment. This approach allows you to view the situation from a distance, much like a spectator watching a storm from the safety of a shelter. Rather than letting your emotions take control and dictate your actions, you observe them as temporary and separate from your true self. By observing your emotions, you gain clarity. You can begin to identify the underlying triggers and examine whether the emotional reaction is proportionate to the situation or coloured by past experiences. This clarity helps you avoid reactive behaviour, those knee-jerk reactions that you might later regret. Instead of lashing out in anger or withdrawing in fear, you're empowered to respond thoughtfully. This mental detachment fosters emotional intelligence, as you learn not to be ruled by your feelings, but to understand them, creating a healthier emotional response. The more you practice stepping back to observe your emotions, the better equipped you will be to manage emotional storms when they arise. You will begin to see your emotions as signals, not commands, which helps you navigate life with a greater sense of control and emotional awareness. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychologist, introduced the concept of integrating the shadow self, which refers to the unconscious parts of our psyche, those qualities and emotions we tend to ignore or repress. The shadow represents the darker, hidden aspects of our personality, such as jealousy, anger, or shame, which we may try to avoid or deny because they don't align with our ideal self-image. However, Jung believed that true self-awareness and personal growth could only come when we acknowledge and integrate these aspects of ourselves rather than hiding from them. Facing the shadow self requires a willingness to explore the parts of us that we may not be proud of or comfortable with. It might mean confronting uncomfortable truths about our behaviours, or acknowledging fears and insecurities we've kept hidden. However, when we do this, we bring those aspects of ourselves into the light, allowing for greater understanding and transformation. By accepting and integrating these parts, we can heal emotional wounds, break through limiting beliefs, and develop a more complete sense of self. This process of self-integration closely aligns with Stoic practices of self-reflection and inner peace. The Stoics believed that in order to live virtuously and achieve peace of mind, we must confront our inner conflicts and come to terms with our imperfections. By acknowledging the shadow, we cultivate self-awareness, which is necessary for true emotional control. Like the Stoics, Jung understood that inner peace comes not from denying our emotions and flaws, but from understanding and accepting them. Only by integrating all parts of ourselves, both the light and the dark, can we achieve a sense of wholeness and tranquility. The storm metaphor can be a powerful tool in applying emotional awareness in our daily lives. By visualizing our emotions as a storm, we can better understand how to navigate them in real-life situations. Imagine that when you feel anger, frustration, or anxiety, you're in the midst of a storm. The first step is recognizing that the storm is temporary. This perspective can help you maintain emotional distance, reducing the intensity of your feelings and allowing you to regain control. One practical way to apply this metaphor is by using the Stoic pause when you feel the emotional storm brewing. When faced with stress, frustration, or anger, instead of reacting impulsively, take a step back. Breathe deeply and mentally picture yourself taking shelter from the storm. This pause creates space between the emotional trigger and your response, allowing you to regain perspective and avoid impulsive, reactive behavior. In daily life, you can use the storm metaphor whenever you feel overwhelmed. When dealing with a difficult situation, whether it's a heated argument, a work setback, or a personal disappointment, imagine the storm as a temporary force that will pass. This mental image gives you permission to hold your ground and wait for the storm to subside before reacting. By creating emotional distance, you can approach the situation with greater calm and clarity. Taking control of how you respond to emotional turbulence is empowering. Rather than being at the mercy of your feelings, you can choose how to weather the storm. This control over your emotional reactions strengthens your resilience and enhances your ability to handle life's challenges with grace. Over time, you'll find that you're more capable of remaining grounded, even when emotional storms arise, and that you can navigate them with greater ease and perspective. The stories we tell ourselves shape how we view our lives, our experiences, and the challenges we face. Every setback or obstacle we encounter is interpreted through the lens of the narrative we construct. Often, we may unconsciously adopt a story of victimhood, seeing ourselves as powerless or defeated by circumstances. However, we have the ability to rewrite this narrative and transform our perception of challenges. Instead of viewing setbacks as insurmountable failures, we can reframe them as opportunities for growth, resilience, and learning. By changing the story from one of victimhood to one of empowerment, we allow ourselves to grow from difficulties rather than being crushed by them. For example, instead of saying, "This is too much for me. I always fail when faced with this kind of challenge," we could rewrite the narrative as, "This is difficult, but I've learned before how to face challenges. I'm capable of handling this situation and growing stronger because of it." This shift in perspective helps you see challenges as part of the journey, not as insurmountable roadblocks. Both Stoic wisdom and Carl Jung's teachings encourage us to reshape our inner narratives. The Stoics believed in the power of perception and how our reactions are determined by the meaning we attach to events. They taught that we can always choose how to respond to situations, no matter how difficult. By focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, we can change the narrative from one of helplessness to one of empowerment. Jung, too, emphasized the transformative power of self-awareness. By confronting our shadow selves, the parts of us we may try to ignore or deny, we are able to integrate these aspects into a more complete and authentic narrative. Instead of seeing ourselves as flawed or broken, we begin to see the potential for growth and healing. By consciously rewriting our narrative, we can cultivate a stronger sense of self and a more resilient mindset, leading to lasting personal transformation. In this journey toward emotional growth, several key practices have the power to transform the way we respond to life's challenges. Emotional awareness, the Stoic pause, self-reflection, and the transformation of our inner narrative. By becoming more aware of our emotions and observing them without judgment, we gain the ability to respond with intention, rather than being swept away by automatic reactions. The Stoic pause empowers us to create emotional distance, providing the clarity and space needed to make thoughtful decisions, even in the face of intense emotions. Self-reflection allows us to recognize patterns in our behavior and reactions, helping us understand the root causes of our emotions and learn from our experiences. And through the practice of rewriting our narrative, we can shift from a mindset of victimhood to one of empowerment, viewing obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. By consistently applying these practices, you can experience a profound transformation in how you handle life's challenges. As you integrate these tools into your daily life, you'll begin to respond with greater emotional resilience, clarity, and strength. Emotional mastery is not a distant ideal, but an attainable reality that comes through conscious effort and consistent practice. The journey ahead may not always be easy, but the path to peace, strength, and emotional balance is within your reach. With each step you take toward greater emotional awareness and self-regulation, you will find that life becomes more manageable, and your ability to navigate emotional turbulence becomes more powerful. Keep practicing, stay committed, and know that the transformation is already underway.